Cooper, it is great to have you back at noise11.com.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Just finished 52 shows, 20 in America and 32 in Europe. We did our show in America. We put a brand new show together, did about 20 shows, and then I went right to Europe to work with the Vampires for 31 shows. And now I've got, at least 80 more shows in the States.
That's pretty good going. It's pretty good innings at this age, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm probably the only one that's not breathing hard out there. But Clint Eastwood had the smartest thing. He said, he was in a movie, 90 years old, and he punched a guy in the face, and they fought. And they said, "How do you do this?" And he says, "Don't let the old man in." And that's really true. I mean, you can dress like an old man, you can think like an old man, you can act like an old man, and then you're an old man. Yeah. But if I didn't know how old I was, I would think I was probably 38, 39.
And that's a good way to be. We've got a new way to introduce you with this album, the Master of Madness, the Father of Fright.
It's there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I exaggerate every character on this album. I have to make them more theatrical. So White Line Frankenstein is a guy that's just blown out of proportion. One of these truck drivers that lives in his truck. So Alice Cooper, the character that I play, is also blown out of proportion. And so here he is explaining to people that have known him for 50 or 60 years who he is. And then you have to remember, teenagers don't particularly know who Alice Cooper is. And we get lots of teenagers at our show.
They must come along really not knowing what to expect, but it's a great show every single time. And, particularly when I heard this album, I was thinking of the show. This show should evolve into a great show as well with this album.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll have to. My hardest thing when putting a show together is the set list. I've got 15 songs that I have to do. That the audience, you have to do those songs. And then there's about 5 or 6 songs that are stage songs that they have to see. And that only gives me 2 or 3 songs to play around with. So if I'm going to add songs for this show, I've got to add, of course, we're going to open the show with "I'm Alice." Yeah. That was built for that. But then, I've got all those other songs to find a place where they fit in and still make the show feel cohesive.
Well, I think there's 3 Frankenstein songs now. You could even do a Frankenstein medley now.
Could do a Frankenstein medley,
yeah. A new Frankenstein song added from this new album.
Well, I've got my 12-foot Frankenstein, and I'm thinking I have to dress him like a truck driver now, for White Line Frankenstein.
Yeah, like I was only thinking when I was listening to this album, it's a pity Dennis Weaver isn't around to make Jewel 2 with this.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, Stephen King's still around. He did Maximum Overdrive with that AC/DC soundtrack. I think
that's true. Well,
Stephen.
I literally know guys that my truck drivers and my bus drivers that will finish my tour 3 months and then go right to another tour. For 3 months and then go right to another tour after that. And that's what this song that I'm going, this guy lives in that cab of that truck. He lives there. That's his world. And so he is the Frankenstein. I am the, in other words, I own this place. Yeah. And that's really what that whole thing was about.
I think when you did the Welcome to My Nightmare 2 album, we talked about how, you could do a concept tour around that. But definitely with this, it sounds like there will be a road, almost a theatrical production that comes out of this.
Yeah, it could be. Almost every album could have their own show, But now, I find that it's almost like you have to do a greatest hits show almost all over the world now, because those songs are in such demand, and you're adding one every, Poison all of a sudden comes along, and this song comes along, and that song. And now you've got these standards that have to be there every night, because I think to myself, if I went to see The Who and they didn't do My Generation, or they didn't do Baba O'Reilly, or they didn't do, I'd feel really cheated, So that's why I always want to give the audience the bulk of the hits that they want to hear.
Or if we went and saw The Who and they didn't do Baba O'Reilly, we could come and see Hollywood Vampires, because you will.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did it. Yeah, we did it. We did a good version of that. But
And Magic Bus is on this album too.
oh yeah. Well, that was that was the one thing I said. I want to make this band. I want to do all these songs live in the studio. All these new songs. I want the band to play them live in the studio, and then I'll do the vocal on afterwards. So this band is that good, where they can go in and take a brand new song, play it live in the studio, and make it really energy. If you play a song too many times, it starts losing its edge. So I said, let's get in there and do 2 or 3 takes of this and really capture the energy of that song. And then at the end, I said, we've got to do at least one cover. And of course, I mean, we live on buses on the tour. So Magic Bus, that was one take.
Wow.
That was one take. And we did it 2 or 3 other takes. And I said, the first take was the best take.
Well, the band on the album is the band on the road as well. So yeah. I guess the songs from the studio are going to be interchangeable with the stage and vice versa, isn't it? You've captured the live sound in the studio, so you will have the studio sound on the stage.
And that's pretty much me showing off this band. You know, every once in a while you get a band that's so tight that you can go ahead and do this. You can go ahead and play these songs live in the studio. Other bands, you go, well, let's put the drums on, the bass on, then we'll put the guitar on. And then, this band, you can play it live all night, and they'll do it. Same thing with the Vampires, though. The Vampires live. I mean, this band is tight. We just finished 30 shows, and we did like a live album cuts and everything like this, and I mean 1 or 2 takes, and that was it.
Yeah, we've never seen the Vampires in Australia, though.
I know. I'd love to bring the Oh, they would love to be there, and the audience with the energy of this show is amazing.
Yeah, you have your own band, of course. Nita Strauss is back with you.
Yes,
in this band, you loaned her out for a while.
She was on leave. Yeah. But I do that with people. You know, everybody in my band have got their own bands. They've got their own careers going. And I encourage that. You know, Chuck's got Visto Blanco, you know, and Tommy's got Skelly, Crossbone Skelly. They all have their own things. And if it starts happening for them, I say, go. You know, go work your show. I can put somebody else in there for a while. So I have a revolving door kind of idea in my band. And if somebody has to leave for a year, there's no hard feelings on that. You know, I mean, that's just the way we've always worked it.
Well, you know, and so it should be, because you go out and slum around with Depp and Perry, don't you?
That's right. I tell my band, hey, I'm gonna go be a vampire for 2 months.
Yeah. You talk about opening the show with I'm Alice. Welcome to the show. That's another great song. I mean, you've got 2 opening songs on the one album.
Well, they may connect. Yeah, they may connect on that. You're right. They're sitting right there, and then you go right to No More Mr. Nice Guy, you know. Yeah. I think that all connects up pretty well. And with the way we've produced this show, the video behind us will fit right in with that.
I'm Alice sort of pays homage to Alice of years gone by. You know, I think I hear the $1 Billion Babies era sort of in the background there. Yeah. It's almost like the Andrew Lloyd Webber era that you've gone into, where, you know, it's theatrical. There's these little breadcrumbs that you drop through the show to remind people in the new songs and the old songs.
There's a point where you're maybe on the out of a song, and I go, you know, we could put the end of Elected right there. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. And, you know, there's a thing of 18. It just fit right in there, you know. And I just said, well, I don't mind paying homage to those albums. You know, I mean, I'm not stealing from anybody but me.
I think at one point in the 1980s, John Fogerty got sued for sounding too much or not enough like himself. You never know these days.
Well, here's a good one. I got one even better than that.
Yeah,
there was a Sting sound-alike karaoke thing.
Yeah,
Sting, I did a whole disguise and went in and finished third.
He just wasn't a very good Sting.
He didn't do a very good Sting.
No. No. In Welcome to the Show, I'm hearing elements of The Who. That organ guitar keyboard bit won't get fooled again. It's like little droplets.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, to me, rock history is rock history, and I was part of that rock history. You know, and all those guys that I tip my hat to are best friends. You know, I mean, they're guys that I've always said Pete Townsend. Every young band should go see Pete Townsend, just Pete Townsend, because he's 77 and he still plays the angriest guitar of anybody. I mean, he's still a kid with the windmill and his knuckles are bleeding. And I said, man, go see that guy play. I said, that's your attitude right there.
Yeah. Well, I guess in all over the world, you say rock will never disappear as long as we are here. So you're pretty much saying you're never going to retire.
No. The R word doesn't exist with me. You know, I've always said this, that the day that I can't play Alice with the same intensity that I did in 1972, if I can't do that, then I'm not going to play Alice. You know, somebody else should play Alice. But I think I'm playing Alice better now than I did in 72.
That's an interesting thought. Somebody else playing Alice.
Oh, yeah.
Kiss have already raised that potential that there could be a son of Kiss. Well, could there be a son of Alice?
They said if one Alice works, then four ought to work. And that got them off the hook with me immediately. I said, oh, okay, I get that. You know, at least we told them where to buy their makeup. I mean, you know, they did it. They didn't come as a surprise to us. And I said, what you need to do is do something that's entirely different, the makeup, than mine. And so they did the kabuki, and they created something entirely new, which I said, I applaud that. That's great.
If I wasn't in a band, I'd probably be a criminal. You singing The Dead Can't Dance.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines on the whole album.
Yeah.
In other words, if you're not in a band, you'd still find something, you know, where you'd be out an outlaw, you know.
Yeah. In Big Boots, you know, again, I feel like you're dropping breadcrumbs in reverse, because on Breadcrumbs, you covered Suzi Quatro, Your Mama Won't Like Me, and I could really hear Suzi Quatro doing a cover of Big Boots.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the idea that, you know, here's five guys in a diner, and here's a beautiful girl, you know, Southern girl, name is Fancy, you know, and I guess, man, she's got big boots. You know, and he's looking at her shoes, and what a pair, you know, of boots. And so I know what the audience is going to sing.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Rules of the road, again, Alice Cooper humor. If it's in a glass, drink it. If it's offered, take it. If you can drive it hard. If you follow these rules by 27, you will die.
Yeah.
Are they the wise words of Toby Mamis?
The young band that Alice is talking to, he's giving them all the wrong advice. You know, he's telling them, yeah, do this and do that and do that. And, you know, and they think in the end, he's going to say, and if you do that, you're going to be a major success and your life is going to be wonderful. And he goes, no, if you do this, you're going to die. You know, that's the punchline right there, you know, and because I did all that stuff. You know, almost died.
It's been an incredibly creative period for you over the last decade. Nightmare 2, Paranormal, Detroit Stories, Road. You've done as much work in the studio in the last decades as the Rolling Stones have done since 1994.
Well, there's another album that's already done.
Oh, really? After Road?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, yeah, I there's no grass growing beneath me.
Is there another concept in that?
Well, I can't talk about this album. I can say it's going to be a surprise.
And for 2024 then, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait. There's been a couple of reissues with Killer, School's Out, $1 Billion Babies on DVD. What's the reissues plan for the album?
You know, that's the funniest thing with bands. We don't really have anything to do with that. You know, I just talked to Jimmy Page in London. He came to the show in London, the Vampire show. And Ronnie Wood came up and played with us on Train Kept a Rolling and stuff. It was great having those guys there. And I said, so what are you doing, Jimmy? And he says, I'm still working on the Led Zeppelin stuff, because he's remastering this stuff and remixing this stuff. and he has a hands-on thing with what he's doing. I don't, they say that we're reissuing Killer and Schools Out, and I go, okay. I don't have anything to do with that. It's great. And almost every other day, somebody says, hey, it's the anniversary of Lace and Whiskey. And I go, oh, that's nice. I don't keep track of any of that stuff.
Wow.
But I love the history, but I don't live back there,
Yeah, well, there's some nice reminders when it came through. I think there was a live.
Oh, it's great.
Long Way to Go from Love It to Death popped up on, one of the bonus records recently. Now, that was a song that you inserted, I think, around 2016. It was there around 2003, but that had been rested for like 32 years.
Yeah.
And I think Snakebite's in the current tour, isn't it? That one was out of action for about 30 years.
Well, I wanted to bring, if I can get like one or two songs that the audience is not expecting. They know that they're going to hear 18 and No More Mr. Nice Guy in these songs. But when you can put a song in from one of these albums that was way over here on the left side, and that on that album, of course, I'm going to use the Snake.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't used the Snake for 10 years. So I said, let's reintroduce the Snake. And what song can we use? Snakebite. Let's do that. Because I love that song anyways. That was such a great rock and roll song that the hook on that's so good. And the band went, let's do that one, And every once in a while we'll do Guilty, or we'll do, you will find something from different eras. And I always want it to be a song that nobody would ever expect.
Would you ever revisit Pretty's For You and Easy Action?
It occurs to me, and then I kind of let it go. I can't think of one song on there. They're so insane, those two albums are. I mean, even Frank Zappa didn't, he listened to Pretty's For You and he goes, I don't get it. And I said, well, is that good or bad? And he goes, no, it's great. I don't get it. I'm Frank Zappa and I don't get it.
Yeah.
So, it's really hard to pull one of those songs onto this, onto the stage. But I still like finding things, from like Zipper Catches Skin and things like that. Who Do You Think We Are? Yeah, right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there were a few around there. Special Forces were around.
Special Forces, yeah.
Would there be anything off that you'd resurrect?
Scarlet and Shiva.
Yeah.
That was a song that was a stage song. We used that. I think Formerly Warmer might be the scariest song I ever wrote.
Well, there's plenty of shows to continue then. If we can drop one special song in per tour, we've got a lot more years of Alice to come. Hopefully Australia 2024.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, we've already talked about that. That'll be my 14th time there.
Okay.
In Australia and New Zealand, that whole area. So we haven't been there in a while. The last time we were there, the whole country was on fire.
Yeah. And then COVID hit.
So I always tell people this story. I said, we're in Sydney with Queen at this big thing and 90,000 people there, not realizing that was going to be our last show for 18 months. Mm-hmm. I thought if this COVID thing hit, it was going to be maybe a month. Mm. But 18 months later, we're still sitting there going, wait a minute, maybe there's no more touring. Mm. That starts getting into your head that maybe touring's over.
Well, that's right. I remember the Melbourne show. The T-shirts at the Melbourne show had all the tour dates coming up for North America. That never happened. Yeah, never.
Well, we had to cancel 30 shows. The Vampires had to cancel. I was going right from there to the Vampires to do Europe, mm-hmm. and wiped them all out. It was that was a very. I think we'll all look at that as being one of the strangest times of our life. Is the COVID thing.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to seeing you in 2024 again, and great to hear the Road album, and looking forward to hearing about this next project that you're being very secretive about.
Yeah, I have to be very secretive about that, but Bob Ezrin and I love to work. So if we get like 3 months off, I'll say, hey, I have an idea for something.
Yeah.
And we're going into it.
So the album's already done.
Yeah.
Wow. Looking
all
forward.
Done. Yeah.
Okay, Alice, great to talk to you again.
Okay, thank you, man. And I'll see you probably next summer.
Please hang up and try again.